Just got back from a family vacation in Italy and went to about a dozen record stores. We were in Florence and Rome, and I bought a lot of records. And if you have to use the bathroom, I'd go now. First up is Mobius. He was in the co-founder of the group Cluster, krautrock group Cluster, and also in Harmonia. And every Mobius record I buy, I like. He's got a great organic, warm kind of analog sound with his electronics. It sounds playful and sinister at the same time, and all his records are a little different, and I've never bought one that I didn't like. I don't even know what the name of this is. There's one. Second Mobius record, and that's really the mark of a good record store too, when they have a Mobius section. There's a third, and the fourth. The one's called Ding. Habibi Funk is a record label. They're a reissue record label that does Arabic funk and soul from the 60s and 70s and 80s. And I picked up 4 over there, and over here it would cost me like 25 bucks to have it shipped from Germany, but over there I'm just paying for the price of the record. So I took advantage of that and picked up 4 Habibi Funk reissues, and well worth it. I would give it a shot and listen to it online. It's a lot of fun, which brings me to my next favorite world music label right now. I might be dating myself with that term, world music, Analog Africa. So I got Cameroon Garage Funk, Mogadisco Disco, Edu Funk Explosion Volume 1. And this one just came out this year, Super Disco Pirata. It is cumbia, electronica, and disco latino, and banda sonora. Highly recommended. Anything on that label. Thomas Mfumu, he's an African artist from Zimbabwe, and he plays a music called Chimarenga. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. And I didn't figure this out on my own. I read it. It's Mbira. Bass guitar lines are indicative of this style of music. The Mbira is the thumb piano. So I got a couple of his. I've got already half a dozen Thomas Mfumus. So, and this one came out domestically on Mango. That was my first introduction, a Mango record many decades ago that I purchased in New York. Oneness of Juju, band started in San Francisco in '71. Afrobeat. This record is from '76. Mulatu, Ethiopian jazz guy, vibraphone player. His early stuff was just Latin jazz. It's branched out into more, what did I write? I'm looking at my notes here. Afro-funk, Ethiopian jazz, Afro-funk, and Latin jazz, if you like any of that. This one's from 2011. This one just came out and produced by the same guys who run Daptone. And one from Faust, also from 2011, and typical, if you know Faust, it's dense and intense. Voodoo Spand, another band that was associated with Daptone. This came out several years ago. What did I write down? I don't know. Afrobeat, horns, heavy R&B sound. I found 2 in the cheap bins. A Mickey Baker, and he was a session guitar player, and this is a collection of sessions he played on from '53 to '61 in New York City, and fantastic. And Sammy Price is a piano player, piano solos. Haven't listened to it yet. I'm sure it's going to be good. Really what hit me to these 2 guys was I bought this record, Rib Joint, years ago, and it's Sammy Price with Mickey Baker and King Curtis on sax and some cuts, and it's instrumental rock and roll from the 50s. Highly recommend looking for this if you can find it. And oh, I didn't know this came out on vinyl. It came out in the mid-90s on CD. Gary Moore, Blues for Greenie. That is Peter Green from Fleetwood Mac. And if you don't know Gary Moore, you're cheating yourself if you like hard rock guitar. He played with Thin Lizzy, and I'm pretty excited to find this on vinyl. It's quite a surprise. Apparently the guy at the record shop tells me this is a famous Italian composer. I don't know him, but he's doing music of Buster Keaton, or music inspired by the silent shorts of Buster Keaton. And I put it on, and it's It's not a big orchestra. It's like small harpsichord with bass or guitar, and it so far, just from listening to the samples, it's really interesting and good, what you would expect. When in Florence, Piero Umiliani, who I've talked about before, was a composer in Florence, does a lot of library music for TV shows and film and things like that. He's got jazzy influence, Boston influence in his sound. So I picked up a few of his records. And this is library music. This is a soundtrack to a TV show that came out. This is a 2 LP collection of percussion music. And this I'm still figuring out, cool cover, and it looks like it's more library music. Tony Allen. This album came out, it's not a recent album, I'm going to say 2009 on World Circuit. And he was Fela's drummer. And anything with Tony Allen is usually pretty good and worth picking up. Aphrodelic, this is Manu Dibango, whose big hit was Soul Makossa, which some guy sampled, I won't mention his name. And this was the album right after the album with Soul Makossa on it. Jeff Parker was from Tortoise, love Tortoise, and I haven't listened to this, but I got this Jeff Parker record, and it's not new. I think it's from several years ago. CMP Records. I don't even know what, I don't think it's an active label anymore. This came out in the 90s, and it's called Dark, and it's got David Torn, who's an extraordinary guitar player. Played with Bowie on his album Outside, and El Shankar, who played with Frank Zappa. And it's I wouldn't say fusion. It's not your typical jazz fusion, but it's not your typical straight ahead jazz either. And I think they were just waiting for some American to come along and buy this. It was a sealed copy of the first Dred Zeppelin record, which I kind of discounted when they came out. Too gimmicky for me. Reggae versions of Zeppelin tunes with an Elvis impersonator singing. But it's not bad. So, and it was only a few bucks. This just came out. Big King Crimson fan. And it's from '82, which I saw this tour. And it's a double live from '82, you know, with Adrian Belew, Tony Levin, Bill Bruford, and of course Robert Fripp. Very excited to see this. African Head Charge, another one on You Sound. It's futuristic sounding dub from Adrian Sherwood, who is the guy who runs On You Sound. And if you know Adrian Sherwood stuff, you can pick up any On You Sound record. If you like one, you're gonna like them all. Don't know, and if anybody does, let me know. King Ubu, which there's a reference to on this, was something that John Zorn's Sonic label put out. So I saw it, and I thought I was kind of getting the same thing. And, I don't know. Italian Jazz. This looks like it was made in the early 70s, and it is instrumental. Yes, recorded in Rome in '72, and it's going to be kind of funky, fusion-y sounding jazz from '72 from Italy, and it's got a great cover. I remember when this album came out, Ry Cooder, his Indian collaboration with, I'm not going to pronounce the name, VM Bhatt. Sorry, that wasn't as hard as I thought. VM Bhatt and Ry Cooder. Got the CD when it came out in the early 90s. Fantastic. I was really excited to see this on vinyl. And Pacheco. Latin music. Kind of flute dominated. You could tell by the cover that it's playing flute. Johnny Pacheco was the guy who started Fania Records with his attorney from Queens. And this is a really good album. Speaking of Latin and Fania, Bad Boogaloo. I had to travel all the way to Rome to find something that was probably readily available in the Bronx back in the day. This is Boogaloo stuff from '66 to '70. And if you're looking for the Boogaloo sound, this is probably one of the best Boogaloo records I have. It's a 2 LP set on Fania. Michael Mantler with Don Preston. This is Michael Mantler was associated with Carla Bly, and Don Preston was a synthesizer player with Frank Zappa for, I think, only one album, and I should know it because I'm a big Zappa fan, but I don't. I'm looking forward to hearing this. The record store owner was enthusiastic that I bought it, said it was good. This kind of took me by surprise. Young Gods, kind of a Swiss techno rock group that came out in the early 90s. No guitar player, but sample guitar, so there was a heavy crunch sound, and they're playing Terry Riley in C. Think about that. 3 more records from Muslim Gauze, who I said was electronic, not glitch, not digital glitch in the sense of like Thrill Jockey records, but more analog, kind of scratchy, glitchy dub based with Arabic percussion. So I got 3 more Muslim Gauze records, which I'm pretty happy, and also the sign of a good record store when they have a Muslim Gauze section or a Nurse with Wounds section. If I see either of those sections, I know I'm in trouble of spending more money than I should be. This is the first Orb record. I've been kind of rediscovering some of the ambient techno of the early 90s that I like, so I'm pretty excited to get this. And speaking of which, on Warp, more ambient techno. This was a collection, I think this is volume 1. I have 2 on CD of different artists who are on Warp. I think Aphex Twin's on this. Oh yeah, Polygon Window, one of his aliases. So it's that kind of stuff. This jazz and funk from Turkey, I think. Wide selection. Yep, Turkish jazz and funk. Listen to side 1 so far. You know, this is one of those things that it's a no-brainer. It probably is really good, and it is. Had this on ECM years ago on CD. I'm pretty excited to get it on LP. It's Anwar Brahim. He plays oud, Middle Eastern stringed instrument, very woody sounding. I love oud. And he's with a piano player and an accordion player, and it makes me realize I need more music on accordion, and I'm not just talking about Cajun music, but this is very beautiful stuff. If you like ECM, you know the sound, and the sound hasn't really changed from decade to decade. It's a classic ECM record, and I was pretty excited to find the first Anwar Brahim record, which is oud violin and percussion on ECM. This record is library music, and I don't know why I bought it. Rock and Jazz Party, and it could just go either way, and I didn't have proper cell service at the record store I was at, so I couldn't really listen to it, but I'm in luck. It's fantastic. I listened to it the other night, and it's very funky. Fender Rhodes. It's funky. The other Ry Cooder album that came out in the 90s was Olafur Katuri, and Clarence Gatemouth Brown is on this too. So again, had it on CD in the 90s, pretty excited to get it on vinyl. Nurse with Wound, I don't know what this is. Didn't have service, couldn't look it up. It looks like an album from 1984, and best not to be played around the children. Back from the Grave on Crypt Records. If you like garage rock, from the 60s, you can't go wrong with Crypt Records, anything by Crypt, and this whole series, Back from the Grave. This is volume 1. I need it. I've got about a dozen of these. I think it goes up to maybe 26 or 27 or 28 volumes. Good bet. You know, you're gonna spend half your life trying to trip over these in record stores. Go to Discogs. They're all for sale there. Hafler Trio is an experimental avant-garde group, and this is the first record I've got by them, and if you want to learn more, Google it. I don't know what to expect and haven't listened to it yet. Plundered Volume 2, The Mummies Unwrapped. This is music that inspired the Mummies, or music that the Mummies cover, and I think this record series was inspired by songs the Cramps taught us, which is a 4-volume LP set of all the wonderful songs the Cramps covered live and on the records over the years. So I think this was kind of paying homage to that, the Mummies, songs that inspired the Mummies. So I have volume 1, now I have volume 2. I think that's it. That's enough. All right.